Hi, friends. Welcome to your math assignment. Congratulations. You've made it to the bottom, and now we're going to go over the answers so that you have the correct answers on your Google Slides. So, first things first, here we have a vocab match. The first word on our vocabulary is hour. And if we look at our options here, an hour matches with 60 minutes. So I'm going to slide that on over. All right, next we have half hour. Half hour matches with 30 minutes. Example, 9:30 is 9:30. Okay, let's see, quarter hour. That one is going to match with this one here, 15 minutes. Example, quarter is to 5. Quarter to 5 is 4:45. Quarter past 5 is 5:15. And then elapsed time. Elapsed time is the amount of time that passes from the beginning to end of an event. All right. So if you need to go back and switch some of those, that's totally fine. But we're going to go ahead and move on to slide number 6, telling time review. Step 1 says look at the small hand. Look at the last number the hand passed. Do not pass the hour hand, okay? So if you look at the hour hand here, it's pointing right at the 3, okay? If the hour hand were to be pointing just past the 3, say it's pointing like right here or so, then it would still be in the hour of 3 all the way up until it hits the 4. Then we'd be in the hour of 4. Let's look at step 2 here. Look at the big hand. Start at the top and count by 5s. If it's on 12, just say o'clock. So let's look here. If the minute hand were pointing to this 12, which it is in this picture, we would say o'clock. So this is actually showing us 3 o'clock. But if it were pointing to here, it would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and not 60, but o'clock. Okay, if you're still a little bit confused, don't worry. We're going to go through the rest of the slides and we're going to keep talking about how to tell time. All right, slide number 7, we are going to tell the time on these 2 clocks. I'm going to look at my hour hand first, which is my short hand. And the hour hand is pointing, looks like right at the 5. And I know that it's pointing right at the 5 because the minute hand is pointing at the 12. So I know this answer is going to be, I'm going to double click in there, 5 o'clock. So to write o'clock, all I need to do is type 2 zeros, 0, 0. Okay, let's look here. It looks like our hour hand is pointing right directly at the 8, and our minute hand is pointing at the 12. So our time would be 8 o'clock. All right, let's move on. Slide number 8. Okay, let's see here. We have the hour hand pointing in between the 2 and the 3. That means we are still in the hour of 2. All right, and the minute hand is pointing to the 6 here, so we can skip count by 5s to figure out what minute we are in the hour of 2. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 2:30. All right, and here you can see the hour hand is pointing in between the 9 and the 10. It has not yet reached the hour of 10, so our hour is still going to be 9. And our minute hand is pointing to our 6 again, and I know from the last clock that that means the minutes would be 30. So 9:30 is the answer for that one. 2:30 and 9:30. Let's move on to slide number 9. Okay, so here's where it starts getting a little bit trickier because it's going to look like these hands are pointing in the same direction and it just gets a little confusing. So I'm going to help you with it. Okay, so the hour hand is pointing between the 3 and the 4. That means we are still in the hour of 3 because it has not reached that 4 yet. It has not gone past the 4. And our minute hand is also pointing towards the 3, but don't write 303. we are going to skip count starting with the 1, 5, 10, 15. It's just like 3 times 5 is 15. You can also do it that way. Let's look at this clock right here. I see that the hour hand is pointing between the 11 and the 12. That means we are still in the hour of 11. And our minute hand is pointing right at the 9. So you can either skip count all the way around, starting with the 1, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, or you can think of 9 times 5 is 45. There we go. All right, next one here, slide number 10. It looks like this hour hand is pointing, it almost looks like it's pointing right at the 5, but I know that it's just a little bit after the 5 because this minute hand is pointing just a little bit after that 1. So we're not very far in to the hour of 5. So I'm going to go ahead and write a 5 right here. And I'm going to take a look at this here. I know that if it were pointing at the 1, that would mean that we would say 5:05 for the minutes, okay? But it's pointing just past that. So when we start to count between our 5, so if we know that 1, if it's pointing at the 1, it's 5. If it's pointing at the 2, it's 10. Then we can count by ones, okay? So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this is showing us 5:06. All right, let's take a look at this one. I see that our hour hand is in between the 9 and the 10, but it hasn't yet reached the 10. So I am going to put our hour in as 9. And let's look here, okay? The minute hand is in between the 10 or the 11, sorry, and the 12. Let's skip count to find out what minute we would land on if it were pointing right at the 11. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 56, 57. 9:57. Okay, for slide 11, it's a little bit different. It gives you the time already, and you have to drag and drop these arrows. So if you couldn't figure that out, I'm going to teach you how to do that now. I'm going to go ahead and grab my hour hand first. And I know that this hour hand needs to be pointing directly at the 8. So I'm going to line it up right here. And then what you need to do to turn it is click this little dot, swing it around so that it's pointing right at the 8. And that whole time I held down my mouse and I moved my other finger because I'm on my laptop. Okay, and we know that if it's saying o'clock, then we are going to be pointing that minute hand right there to the 12. I'm going to swing that up. Ooh, I wasn't quite centered. Let me move that a little bit. It's kind of tricky. There you go. All righty, and let's look at this next one, 4 o'clock. Well, I know that this is going to be pointing directly to the 4, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that over there, this hour hand, and then I'm going to point that minute hand right up to the 12. And it's a little bit, I need to move it over just a little bit. Don't worry too much about getting it perfect. It's okay. I know I can tell if you guys are trying, so don't worry. All right, let's do this next one. All right, 6:30. Okay, so I know that if it's 6:30, my hour hand, okay, it's not going to be pointing directly at the 6. 30 minutes is half of an hour. So this hour hand is going to be halfway in between the 6 and the 7. Okay, so I'm going to point that halfway between the 6 and the 7. It's kind of there. Yeah, kind of. All right. And then I'm going to take my minute hand, and I know that if I count by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, I land on the 6. So I'm going to swing my arrow around and point it right down to the 6. Okay. So same concepts go for 9:30. Okay. I'm going to take my hour hand. I'm going to put it in between the 9 and the 10 because we're showing that we are half past 9 o'clock. So it has to be in between, halfway in between the 9 and the 10. Okay, and then we're going to take our minute hand, and just like the other clock down there, we're going to swing that right there. And mine's not perfect, but that's okay. We don't need to be perfect. Boop, boop. There we go. Alrighty. All right, almost there. Second to last one. We have 7:05. Okay, so I'm going to do my hour hand first. And I know that if it's 7:05, it's only 5 minutes past 7 o'clock. So my hour hand is only going to be just a little bit past 7 o'clock, like that. Okay, and then we know that if it's 7:05, my minute hand is going to be pointing right at that 1. Okay, let's look at this next one. 11:55. Ooh, if it's 11:55, then it is almost 12 o'clock. Okay, so we're going to take that hour hand, and I know that it's still going to be in the hour of 11, so it's not going to be on the 12 o'clock yet. But I'm going to take this and I'm going to make it so it's almost at the 12, okay? But it's still in that zone of 11, okay? This is the 11 o'clock zone. It's still in the 11 o'clock zone, but it's almost to the 12. And then I'm going to take that minute hand, and if I count by fives all the way around my clock, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, I know that my hand is going to point directly at that 11, my minute hand, which is longer. All righty. Alrighty, and last slide for today. Okay, we have our time as 3:14. Okay, so we know that there are 60 minutes in an hour. And if we are only 14 minutes into our hour of 3, that's not very far. So my hour hand is going to be pointing just a little bit past that 3. All right. And my minute hand is going to be pointing at 14. So do you remember how to figure that out? If we count 5, 10, 15, ooh, and then we subtract 1, 14. It's going to be right there pointing to this little notch. So let's see if I can line that up. I'm going to have to look really close. There we go. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good. All right, and now 10:32. Well, we know that if it is 10:32, then it is about halfway past the hour of 10, or half past 10. Okay, so when I line up my hour hand, I'm going to line it up halfway between that 10 and that 11, right there. Okay, now 10:32. I'm going to get my minute hand ready. I'm going to count by fives to find out where 30 is, and then I'm going to go 2 notches past 30. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay, so it's right there at the 6. And then I'm going to go 31, 32. See how I use these little notches to count that? And there we go. All done. Great job, you guys. You have worked so hard. Thank you for staying to the end of the video. If you need to make any corrections, you can go ahead and do that. Let me know if you need help with anything. Miss you guys.